Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Good evening and welcome to Market Mantra, the program in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I am Anubha Rohatgi with my co-anchor Harsh Ranjan.
नमस्कार, हाजिर हैं मार्केट मंत्र के एक और ताजा अंक के साथ। इस कार्यक्रम में देश विदेश की आर्थिक खबरों का जायजा लेंगे, साथ ही नजर डालेंगे प्रमुख अंतर्राष्ट्रीय शेयर बाजारों के चढ़ते उतरते ग्राफ पर, और हम बात करेंगे तेल की कीमतों की, साथ में सोने की कीमतों की भी। और हमारे साथ खबरों की बारीकियों पर चर्चा करने के लिए स्टूडियो में खास तौर पर मौजूद हैं सीनियर इकोनॉमिस्ट एसपी शर्मा साहब। शर्मा साहब, बहुत बहुत स्वागत आकाशवाणी में आपका।
जी शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
एंड नाउ लेट्स बिगिन टुडेज एडिशन विद द हेडलाइंस इन इंग्लिश।
Thank you, Harsh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi this evening. Domestic equity benchmark indices extend losses for fifth consecutive session. Sensex slumps over 800 points. Nifty settles at 25,049. And crude oil prices continue to rise. Brent crude is trading at $78.74.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी नई दिल्ली में कौटिल्य इकोनॉमिक कॉन्क्लेव को थोड़ी देर में संबोधित करेंगे। घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में आज भी गिरावट। सेंसेक्स 800 अंक टूटकर 81,688 पर रहा, तो निफ्टी 25,049 पर बंद हुआ। और मध्य एशिया में बढ़ते संघर्ष की वजह से कच्चे तेल की कीमतों में बढ़ोतरी। ब्रेंट क्रूड प्रति बैरल $78 पहुंचा। शेयर बाजारों में गिरावट का जो दौर पिछले सप्ताह शुरू हुआ था, वो आज भी जारी रहा। कल की बड़ी गिरावट के बाद सेंसेक्स निफ्टी आज भी गिरे हैं। हालांकि आज इनमें गिरावट का सिलसिला थोड़ा सा थमा है। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 808 अंक की गिरावट के साथ 81,688 पर बंद हुआ, जबकि नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 200 अंक टूटा और 25,049 पर रहा। जून 2022 के बाद इस सप्ताह की गिरावट सबसे बड़ी साप्ताहिक गिरावट के रूप में दर्ज की गई है। नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में इस गिरावट के बावजूद 60 कंपनियों के शेयर अपने 52 हफ्तों की ऊंचाई पर रहे, जबकि 67 कंपनियों के शेयरों ने पिछले एक साल की यानी 52 हफ्तों का निचला स्तर देखा। बीएसई मिड कैप और स्मॉल कैप शेयरों में भी 0.8% और 0.9% की गिरावट दर्ज की गई है।
Domestic benchmark indices, Sensex and Nifty ended lower today, extending losses for the fifth consecutive session amid weak global cues. The markets locked their biggest weekly drop since June 2022. At close, the Sensex slumped 808 points or 0.9% to close at 81,688, while the Nifty declined 200 points or 0.7% to settle at 25,049. In the NSE, 60 companies hit their 52-week high, while 67 hit their 52-week low. The broader market at the BSE also ended in negative territory. The mid-cap index slipped 0.9% and the small-cap index lost 0.8%. In the Sensex index, 22 out of 30 companies ended in negative territory. The top laggards today were Mahindra & Mahindra, which declined more than 3.5%. Bajaj Finance lost more than 3% and Nestle India fell more than 2.5%. On the other side, the top gainers were Infosys that added 1.3%, Tech Mahindra gained 0.8% and Tata Motors added more than 0.5%. In sectoral indices at the BSE, 19 out of 20 sectors logged losses. FMCG as well as realty fell more than 1.5% each. Auto shed 1.5% and consumer durables slipped more than 1%. Meanwhile, the only gainer today was the information technology sector, which gained 0.4%. The overall market breadth at the BSE was negative. Shares of 1,563 companies advanced. Shares of 2,387 companies declined, while shares of 104 companies remained unchanged. Mr. Sharma, like we just read and saw, that this is a fifth consecutive session when the markets Sensex and Nifty are ending lower, What are the main reasons? Are there international reasons? Would you say the geopolitical reasons, what's happening in Middle East and the, a stimulus package announced by by China? Are those the two major reasons, or are there reasons beyond this also?
I think the major reason is the tussle in the Middle East, because geopolitical developments are impacting the markets significantly. And I don't see that China factor is impacting our market, because our market is very, very resilient, and we have our growth parameters and we have our own growth trajectory, which is long-term growth, and we are moving ahead to become Viksit Bharat by 2047. And the parameters like the export growth, IIP numbers, and the inflation trajectory, they are all benign and favoring the growth trajectory going forward. But this Middle East problem, the deepening of Middle East and the geopolitics is impacting the stock market significantly. During the last, I think, 4 or 5 sessions, the market lost at around 4,000 points.
Yes.
From its peak of 85,836 on 26th September, now the market is at around 81,688. So that is a great deceleration in the market and a deep correction because of the geopolitical developments.
What about the China factor? The fact that China's announced stimulus package, and experts are saying that, that is one of the reasons that the FIIs are now moving from India into China.
I don't see the stimulus packages will work, because the growth is ultimate, which happens in the countries like India, and India has proven its growth as a growth leader in the world economic system. But the stimulus is a speculation that this stimulus will provide growth or revive the growth or rejuvenate the growth, but that will happen in the coming times according to the growth trajectory of the world economy and the parameters. So many parameters are there. So the stimuluses only can not boost the growth in a sustained way. Growth may happen for quarter or 2 quarters, but the long-term growth, which we have observed during the post-COVID years, that we are growing more than 8% on an average during the last 3 financial years, and projections are that for the current year also we will grow more than 7%. So, this is apparent, and this is happening at the ground. So I would say the FIIs or the NEs, investors globally will look at India's growth, which is sustained and reliable, not only for the years, but for the decades going forward.
We have not gone anywhere, अनुभव. मुझे तो ये कहना है यहाँ पर कि जिन FIIs को भारत में इन्वेस्ट करने की आदत पड़ गई है, वो चाइना में इन्वेस्ट करके बिल्कुल एट ईज नहीं रहते हैं.
जी, मैंने यही कहा कि वापसी का रुख होगा.
इसकी संभावना बहुत कम है कि वो वहां जाएंगे. लेकिन एसपी शर्मा साहब, इसके बावजूद भारतीय शेयर मार्केट जो है अभी जो ओवर वैल्यूड है, ऐसा सभी इकोनॉमिस्ट कर रहे हैं, मार्केट के एक्सपर्ट्स कहते हैं. ओवर वैल्यूड कितना है? बुक वैल्यू से ज्यादा है कुछ शेयरों के वैल्यू, कुछ क्या अनेक शेयरों के वैल्यू, और एक डीप करेक्शन तो एक्सपेक्टेड है ही, कपल्ड विथ सिचुएशन इन द वेस्ट एशिया.
देखिए, मैं उसको सिंपल वर्ड्स में उसको डीप करेक्शन कहूंगा कि जियोपॉलिटिकल डेवलपमेंट्स की वजह से. अदरवाइज ये एक प्रॉफिट बुकिंग भी होता है. जब आप पीक गेन करते हैं, आप देखो कहीं ना कहीं जाके तो अपना प्रॉफिट बुक करते हैं. तो वो एक एक्सपेक्टेड था कि किसी लेवल पे जाके जब कोई ऐसी, जैसे अभी तो जियो पॉलिटिक्स एक उसके लिए एक मेन कारण बन गई है.
इट्स अ कोइंसिडेंस
के करेक्शन तो एक्सपेक्टेड थी कि लोगों की में प्रॉफिट बुकिंग आएगी, क्योंकि लिक्विडिटी की भी प्रॉब्लम आती है. जब आपके शेयर्स जो है आपने पूरा मनी उसमें डाला है, तो देन आगे कैसे इन्वेस्ट करेंगे? आपके पास लिक्विडिटी भी होना चाहिए. तो उसकी वजह से ही एक ये करेक्शन जो देखी गई है. और जहां तक आपने ओवर वैल्यूड और अंडर वैल्यूड की बात की, मार्केट्स में कभी भी ऐसे शेयर्स वो परफेक्ट नहीं होते अकॉर्डिंग टू द टाइम. उसमें वो किसी भी लेवल पे, अगर मार्केट्स अभी मान लीजिए 4,000 पॉइंट्स नीचे आई है, तो 4,000 और नीचे चली जाती हैं, तब भी आप कहेंगे कि कुछ शेयर्स जो है ओवर वैल्यूड है, कुछ अंडर वैल्यूड है. तो ये परफेक्शन कभी भी नहीं देखी गई. बट मार्केट्स इन द लॉन्ग टर्म आर ऑलवेज वेरी वेरी परफेक्ट एंड एफिशिएंट to become resilient and to move forward according to the basic economic parameters.
कुल मिलाकर अपने पीक से अभी 5% की भी गिरावट नहीं है मार्केट में, इसलिए बहुत कोई परेशानी की शायद बात नहीं है, और पैनिक करने की तो बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है आम इन्वेस्टर्स को.
जी बिल्कुल नहीं, क्योंकि ये एक्सपेक्टेड थी. एक तो होता है कि आपको एक शॉक ऐसा लगा है कि मार्केट्स ने एकदम से मार्केट्स ने बड़े आराम से मतलब करेक्शन ली है. और कोई ऐसी करेक्शन भी नहीं ली जो कि एक पैनिक क्रिएट करे।
जी।
मार्केट्स बहुत ही एक मैं कहूंगा कि एक जो है सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग की तरफ जो थोड़ी करेक्शन देखी गई है उस तरीके से आई है। एक नी जर्क जो होता है कि मार्केट एक ही बार में, जैसे हमने कोरोना के टाइम पे देखा कि एक ही दिन में जो बहुत बुरी तरह से मार्केट लुढ़क रही थी, मतलब 10% से भी ज्यादा मार्केट ने डाउन टर्न देखा। बट इस लेवल पे मार्केट्स की जो स्ट्रेंथ है वो हमारे सामने है कि मार्केट्स अगर करेक्शन भी ले रही है तो बहुत ही उस तरीके से कि आराम से सॉफ्ट तरीके से करेक्शन मार्केट ने ली।
If we talk about the fact that maybe because we are talking about the geopolitical factors, we are talking about the China factor. Even if we do, keep the China factor aside, the geopolitical factors are such that we may expect volatility in the markets to continue. Given that fact, which are the sectors, which would be a safer bet for the investors? Do you think the sectors which are, depend more on the domestic markets would be a safer bet for the investors in the coming days?
I think that will depend on the shares, the strength of the shares. Like sometimes the blue chips are more strong in a particular time because some value buying comes in the blue chips. But sometimes the mid caps, when they saw some great correction, then the people move to the mid caps also. But as you rightly said that China factor or the geopolitics, apart from these factors, the profit booking is there in the market, and markets are resilient. I would say still markets are very, very resilient, and markets are not making panic in the investors. Investors are still confident, and some buying is also happening. Like in the morning we saw that there was some correction,
yes,
a deep correction, then there was buying, then again some selling. So markets will remain volatile. That is apparent, that the geopolitics and the other factors, the other global headwinds will stoke the market volatility in the coming.
But which sectors do you think are likely to be, because there's a festive season already started in India. So which are the sectors do you think that the investors, can think about as a safe bet, if they do think in terms of investment?
I would say India is a promising country. Every sector is a promising sector in the Indian economy. So whether the infrastructure or the energy or the technology or textiles or automobiles, all these sectors are performing very well and outstanding. But there must not be any speculation in the market. Sometimes the retailers or the other investors speculate in the market, so they will be away from this volatility. If they are going to invest, then that investment must be for the longer period.
Right.
बिल्कुल, और शायद यही वजह है एसपी शर्मा साहब कि एनएसई में हम देख रहे हैं कि इतनी गिरावट के बावजूद 60 कंपनियों के शेयर वर ऑन देयर 52 वीक्स हाई। रुपया का क्या हाल रहा? अंतर्राष्ट्रीय विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में आज रुपया $1 की तुलना में मामूली रूप से गिरा है और $1 की कीमत 83 रुपये 97 पैसे रही है। विश्व की 6 प्रमुख मुद्राओं के मुकाबले अमेरिकी डॉलर की स्थिति को दर्शाने वाला डॉलर इंडेक्स अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में 101.85 पर चल रहा था।
And now let's take the next story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi this evening. The third edition of the conclave has begun and will continue till the 6th of this month. This year, the conclave focuses on themes such as financing the green transition, geo-economic fragmentation and the implications for growth, principles for policy action to preserve resilience, among others. Speaking at the conclave this morning, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline. The Finance Minister said the fiscal deficit is estimated to decline further from 5.6% in the financial year 24 to 4.9% in 2025.
India's creditable economic performance in the recent decade was underscored by its leapfrog from the 10th to the 5th largest economy in a matter of 5 years. Sustained high growth rates and maintain inflation well within the comfortable range was the challenge before us, and we are performing to our best of abilities.
Mr. Sharma, we just heard the Finance Minister, and she has also said that the fiscal deficit is estimated to decline further from 5.6% in financial year 24 to 4.9% in 2025. How big a news is this? Or rather, how heartening and how positive a news is this?
This is very great news. I would say that we are in a right path of fiscal consolidation. We have significantly addressed our fiscal deficit. That was more than 7% during the pandemic year. So now we are again less than 5%, and going forward, I believe we will be in a benign condition in the next 1 or 2 years. The fiscal deficit is addressed very adequately by our Honorable Finance Minister. And they have proved the resilience of the economy. Despite so many headwinds, despite so many challenges at the domestic and international level, our growth is more than 8% on an average in the post-COVID years. So despite the fiscal deficit, addressing the fiscal deficit, and government is sometimes conservative in spending, and they are controlling the deficit so that fiscal deficit is not going high, because international investors always observe 2-3 things: the fiscal deficit and the inflation and the GDP growth numbers. So all these three are now in a very much in line with the growth of the economy going forward. Inflation is now less than 4%, which is under the RBI's target of 4%, and fiscal deficit less than 5%, and we are moving ahead with the fiscal consolidation, and the growth is always, we are surprising the world with our growth numbers.
Moving on, the Union Cabinet led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi made some very significant decisions yesterday. The Union Cabinet approved India to join the International Energy Efficiency Hub by signing the letter of intent in New Delhi. After this approval, India will now join the International Energy Efficiency Hub, which is a global platform dedicated to fostering collaboration and promoting energy efficiency worldwide. The country's participation in this global platform will help to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy and improve energy security. The Union Cabinet approved the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, or PMRKVY, to promote sustainable agriculture, and the Krishonati Yojana KY to achieve food security for agriculture self-sufficiency. The PMRKVY and Krishonati Yojana will be implemented with a total proposed expenditure of over 1 lakh crore rupees. This includes over 57,000 crore rupees for PMRKVY and 44,246 crore for Krishonati Yojana. The government also approved National Mission on Edible Oilseeds for 24-25 to 2030-31 with an outlay of 10,103 crore rupees. This has been done with an aim to make India self-reliant in oilseed production in the next 7 years. This mission will focus on enhancing the production of key primary oilseed crops such as rapeseed mustard, groundnut, soybean, sunflower, and sesame. Mr. Sharma, the decisions that were taken by the cabinet yesterday, how important are these decisions, and how will they aid in the economy further?
These decisions are very important because agriculture is the backbone of our economy, and agriculture boosts the demand trajectory because agriculture creates demand in the country. And agriculture remained resilient during the pandemic period also. We were growing more than 3% in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. So this resilience of the economy has to be supported by the conducive policy environment which the government has announced for the rationalization of the various schemes. And as you rightly said that Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, that is for the longer term sustainability of the agriculture sector, so that we are becoming self-reliant and we are moving ahead towards Viksit Bharat with food security and self-reliance. And the oilseed, we import so many products from the foreign market and we are dependent on our imports. So going forward, their expectation is that we will be able to meet more than 70% of our demand trajectory. And that would be a great balance between the demand and supply if we are supporting 70% from the domestic indigenous production possibilities in the agriculture sector.
और एशियाई और यूरोपीय बाजारों में क्या हाल रहा ये अब हम एक नजर डाल लेते हैं। एशियाई बाजारों में आज बढ़त रही है। हांगकांग का हैंगसेंग 2.5% से अधिक बढ़ा। सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स इंडेक्स और दक्षिण कोरियाई बाजार के कॉस्पी में भी 0.33% की बढ़ोतरी दर्ज की गई। चीन में बाजार आज बंद रहे क्योंकि आज छुट्टी थी। यूरोपीय बाजारों में मिला जुला रुख देखने को मिल रहा है। फ्रांस का कैक 40 0.5% की तेजी पर कारोबार कर रहा है। जर्मनी के डैक्स में भी 0.1% की तेजी चल रही है, लेकिन लंदन का FTSE 100 0.5% की गिरावट पर कारोबार कर रहा था।
Moving on to the U.S. market, U.S. stocks edged lower yesterday as investors awaited monthly payrolls report and remained cautious amid escalating conflict in the West Asia. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.44%, S&P 500 slid 0.17%, and the Nasdaq Composite was marginally down by 0.04%. And let's move on to commodities. Oil prices continued to rise today and headed for their biggest weekly gain in 2 years as a deepening conflict in West Asia kept markets on edge. In the global crude market, Brent crude was trading nearly 1.5% up at $78.74 per barrel. And the U.S. West Texas Intermediate was also trading more than 1.5% up at $74.82 per barrel when reports last came in. And to get a more detailed view of how the energy prices are going to affect India, I'm now joined by Prasar Bharati special correspondent Vinod Kumar, who is based in Dubai. Mr. Kumar, welcome to the program.
Yes. Certainly, with the possibility of this attack on Iran's oil infrastructure that has been commended by President Biden, indicating that there might be an attack there. This move is having a potential to increase the oil prices well beyond what we can rightly imagine now. Already, the market has factored in 1 to 2% of this war premium increase, but this particular news of the U.S. president giving this idea is something to be taken very seriously. And one more reason that the Strait of Hormuz also can be severely disrupted by any further escalation. As you mentioned, around two-thirds of the oil and half the LNG that India imports comes directly from this region. This is a key choke point just off where I am in of Dubai. Any interruption or disruption on this particular key area will apply a handbrake to the global demand. However, there is one thing that we have to keep in mind, that currently the OPEC Plus, which is led by the Saudis, have had a break in the oil production, and there is excess production capacity in all these oil producing countries, and because of Saudi's geopolitical interest, they have reduced the production of oil over the past couple of years. So even in case there is a massive attack on the Iranian facilities, if there is a small attack, we'll be setting back ourselves by 4.5 lakhs barrels per day. If it is a major attack, maybe by 2 million barrel per day, but that's already factored in because of this OPEC plus excess capacity. That is the reason why currently these oil prices are not going at a runaway fashion. It's still hovering around 78, 79 despite such a major escalation of war. If otherwise, it would have been more than 100. And this war premium, I believe, is already factored in into this crude oil prices. And it's more of a wait and watch situation. Right. Brent crude oil is currently again touching 78. Let's see the next move. And such a remark by U.S. President that we are going to attack in such a place in Iran, that's also quite surprising.
Mr. Kumar, like you were saying, right now the situation is, the ramifications are not so great. But how do you see volatility in the crude oil market to continue for till the time this conflict is there? And which way do you see the prices going?
See, the big question is how long the situation is going to last. Is it going to be short-lived, or will it escalate in the coming weeks? A lot of developments depends upon how long this escalation is going to last. And see, overall, globally, US and China have definitely their vested interest in keeping this oil prices low. And over a period of time, definitely the oil prices will go up, but not to the extent what happened in 2019 or in 2008, or what to say in the Yom Kippur War, which happened in 1973. Not to that extent, because we have that buffering capacity. Over the last few decades, we have got a good mix of renewable energy also into our energy mix. Right. So definitely oil prices is on an upward trajectory, but situation is not as scary as it used to be.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that information, Mr. Vinod Kumar. That was Vinod Kumar, special correspondent, Prasar Bharati, based in Dubai. And now let's go over straight to the Kautilya conference, where the Prime Minister is addressing the conference right now, and let's listen into what he is saying.
NK Singh, कॉन्क्लेव में देश विदेश से आए अन्य सभी महानुभाव, देवी और सज्जनों, कौटिल्य कॉन्क्लेव का ये तीसरा एडिशन है और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि मुझे आप लोगों से मिलने का अवसर मिला है। 3 दिनों तक यहां अनेक सेशन होने वाले हैं। इकोनॉमी से जुड़े अलग अलग मुद्दों को लेकर चर्चा होने वाली है। मुझे विश्वास है कि ये चर्चा भारत की ग्रोथ को गति देने में मददगार सिद्ध होगी। साथियों, इस बार का ये कॉन्क्लेव ऐसे समय में हो रहा है जब दुनिया के 2 बड़े रीजन में युद्ध की स्थिति है। ये दोनों रीजन ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी के लिए और खास तौर पर एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी के लिहाज से बहुत अहम है। इतनी बड़ी ग्लोबल अनसर्टेनिटी के बीच हम सभी यहां द इंडियन एरा यानी भारत के युग की चर्चा कर रहे हैं। ये दिखाता है कि आज भारत पर विश्वास कुछ अलग ही है। ये दिखाता है कि आज भारत का आत्मविश्वास भी कुछ विशेष है। साथियों, आज भारत दुनिया की फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग मेजर इकोनॉमी है। आज भारत जीडीपी के हिसाब से 5th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी है। हम ग्लोबल फिनटेक एडॉप्शन रेट के मामले में नंबर 1 है। आज हम स्मार्टफोन डेटा कंजम्पशन के मामले में नंबर 1 है। हम इंटरनेट यूजर्स के मामले में दुनिया में नंबर 2 है। दुनिया की करीब करीब आधी रियल टाइम डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन आज भारत में हो रही है। आज भारत में दुनिया का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम है। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी कैपेसिटी के मामले में भारत नंबर 4 पर है। अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की बात करें तो भारत दुनिया का दूसरा सबसे बड़ा मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरर है। भारत 2 व्हीलर्स और ट्रैक्टर्स का सबसे बड़ा मैन्युफैक्चरर है। और इतना ही नहीं, भारत दुनिया का सबसे युवा देश है। दुनिया में तीसरा सबसे बड़ा साइंटिस्ट और टेक्नीशियंस का पूल भारत में है। यानी साइंस हो, टेक्नोलॉजी हो, इनोवेशन हो, भारत क्लियरली एक स्वीट स्पॉट पर उपस्थित है। साथियों, रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म और ट्रांसफॉर्म के मंत्र पर चलते हुए हम लगातार निर्णय ले रहे हैं, देश को तेज गति से आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं।
कौटिल्य आर्थिक कॉन्क्लेव में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपना संबोधन दे रहे थे और बता रहे थे कि किस तरह भारत अभी अर्थव्यवस्था के फ्रंट पर दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने की ओर अग्रसर है, सबसे अट्रैक्टिव है। कुछ समस्याओं का भी जो ग्लोबल स्तर पर चल रहे हैं उसका जिक्र कर रहे थे। हम मार्केट मंत्र कार्यक्रम दे रहे हैं। समय फिलहाल खत्म हो रहा है। एसपी शर्मा साहब हमारे एक्सपर्ट थे। शर्मा जी, आप आए, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
जी शुक्रिया।
और अंत में मुख्य समाचार एक बार फिर इंग्लिश में।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is addressing the Kautilya Economic Enclave in New Delhi this evening. Domestic equity benchmark indices extend losses for 5th consecutive session. Sensex slumps over 800 points. Nifty settles at 25,049. And crude oil prices continue to rise. Brent crude is trading at $78.74. And that's it in this edition of Market Mantra. We will be back tomorrow at the same time. Do remember to join us then. Till then, namaskar.
नमस्कार।
Market Mantra, Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.